And she said to him, Daddy, God forgives you, and I forgive you. And that's what she needed to do before she could die.
It's Channel Mom with Jenny Dean Schmidt. We're here for you.
I'm Tom Walker with American Family Insurance. If you have questions about insurance or other services we provide, I want to help. You're always welcome to contact me or simply stop by my office so we can get to know each other. Thanks for visiting and have a great day.
Call Tom at Tom Walker Agency, your American Star certified agency. Excellence in customer experience at TomWalkerInsurance.com. The story that I'm about to ask you to tell is about a precious little girl named Catherine. I read her story last night in bed and just began to sob, but for all the right reasons. So could you please tell us the story of Catherine?
Sure. Catherine was a little girl. She was 5 years old, and she needed a liver. And if you've ever seen a child whose liver has stopped working, or a person, they turn very yellow, and it's painful. She was, I think, one of the saddest children because she was in so much pain. She barely moved. She just sat in her bed like a little doll, and she would wait for her mom to come. It was almost like she saved up all of her energy for her mom, for the time she could spend with her mom. And her mom was a single mom, worked, very attentive, but was away from her quite a bit because she had to, keep working while her daughter was sick.
Yeah, and I'm going to interject. We didn't remind people that you were a chaplain in a hospital, and your job was to go to kids who were very sick and or dying, and
Right.
That's why you were able to have access to all these kids that you're writing about, including Catherine. And let me just tell you what you just said. As a mommy myself, oh my gosh, it makes me cry to think about that precious little girl storing up her energy all day and just lying there like a little porcelain doll so that she'd have enough energy when her mom came in the room to be a real kid. And you said that she'd come alive so that her mommy didn't worry about her.
Yeah. And I know, Mom, it's hard to be a mom. You don't get that much self-esteem from your children, but deep down, they love us so much. They need us so much. And it was so obvious with her. And she was just so sick. And the saddest part was that she needed a liver, and she could have probably survived had she found a liver, but they did not find one for her in time. And so as she, just got more and more sick, she started asking to see her father. And we didn't know that she had a father in the picture. Her mother was single. We'd never heard of a father. We'd never seen a father. And so the nurses and myself sort of assumed that she meant her father, like maybe she was talking about God, like I'm ready to die. But she was really sick, and she was hanging on and hanging on. And finally one day, she made it clear, I want to talk to my daddy. And so we asked her mother, is there a father in the picture? And she said, no. I mean, I have his number, but he's not been part of her life. He doesn't know she's sick. And we said, you need to call him. She's waiting to see him. She's hanging on to see him.
Yeah.
And so the mother called him, and, bless his heart, he drove there. He couldn't fly. He was poor. And so he ended up coming, and when he went in, it was, it was like the first time that he'd held her in years.
He asked to hold her, right? He said, can I hold her?
Yes.
Oh.
And, she was really sick and very fragile and in so much pain, but the nurse just, we had mercy on him. And
can I read? I want to read the section
sure.
where it's, this is what had me sobbing. I don't know if I can get through it. But he asked, can I hold her? The nurse moved a large recliner next to the bed so he could sit in it. Then she and Kate placed Catherine in his arms. He began to cry and then to sob, rocking her as a new father might rock his newborn. Catherine opened her eyes for a moment and said, Daddy. It was as if she had known him all of her life. He was speechless, and he sat there rocking her harder and crying. She opened her eyes again and said, Daddy, I have something to tell you. God told me to tell you before I die that he forgives you. I forgive you too, Daddy. Oh my gosh, this precious little thing hung on so that she could tell her dad that God forgave him and that she forgave him, knowing that he needed to hear that here on earth before she passed on to be with God, and that God knew it too, that he would send this message through this precious dying daughter to tell her daddy that it was okay, he was forgiven. I've got to believe that changed that man's life.
Can you imagine if she would have died and he would have found out about it? He would have never forgiven himself. And, yeah, the healing that happened, it's amazing how quickly healing can happen. In, well, how many words is that, 15?
Yeah.
And the man will forever be healed of all that he had done wrong towards her, you know, neglecting her, not seeing her, not being part of her life. And, yeah, and God spared him all of that through her.